I got our obligatory beer crack ready here, so we'll get this started off properly.
Hell yeah.
It is not a bush latte, though. Sorry.
Oh, hell.
It
That's
is.
alright.
It is a backyard bee from a local brewing company out here, Revolver. So
Nice.
got the local brew going tonight.
Nothing wrong with that.
Not at all. So kicked off our first week of night racing this past week, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, fast was, or track was fast. For a lot of people, it was really on edge, especially early on, which, is kind of a given with the tires. But, yeah, even longer runs, at least in the BRP series, that looseness kind of stayed with it, unless you abuse that right front. So, um, but no, it was pretty fun. Um, it was fun getting up out of that wall, rim riding it all the way around.
Yeah, this
Once
was
it,
our first opportunity to really try out that new Aero model or that wall cushion that they've been advertising in the most recent update. So
hmm
I guess how was that? Considering I didn't really run in this other than a few practice laps just to get a feel for the tracks right before adminning the race.
yeah. Well, I can't really speak for clean air because I never had clean air in that race, but it you could feel it, kind of suck you towards the wall, and then once you hit that cushion, it kind of it'd be a little bit of added security, not much. I mean, it didn't take much to break it, but uh, yeah, as you could see, turn two was a nightmare on restarts and stuff. So,
Yep.
um, but no, it was. I think they've got to work on it a little bit more. Um, but it's a pretty cool feature and it has a lot of potential for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the fact that it's even being considered in any racing game or sim up to this point, honestly, is a huge improvement just in the direction of where this kind of modeling is going.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, 100%. um, and it just, um, it just made the riding that top that much more fun. In all honesty, like I said, it was pretty snug deep in the pack in traffic, um, but you could you could drive it slightly more aggressive up there,
Right.
so you had that. If you were super loose on the bottom, being up by that wall, it would tighten you up slightly. So if you just a hair too loose on the bottom, um, it'd be enough to make it damn near perfect up top. So it all came down to how you save tires early on. Like I said, if you really abuse that right front, um, then you were just fighting tight until the last maybe 5 laps of the run. Then kind of tires would get a little greasy. But uh, if you took it easy on that right front and um, kind of abuse that right rear a little bit, it just progressively got worse and worse, throughout the run. So it was a catch-22 with both sides, but all in all, it wasn't a terrible race. But it was nice to be under the lights again, first time this season.
Oh, I bet.
But yeah, it just, I don't know, it comes back to um, the aggressive driving, the the closing rate with the draft. It was definitely there. And it was even heightened even more if you were running the top side and had that momentum. Um, but it just made for more aggressive racing. The first
I
half
mean,
of the
would you
race,
compare that to, say, like the Indy cars if you get them onto like an oval track such as California or Michigan?
oh no, I don't even think the Cup cars suck up that fast.
Because I mean
But
that's an aggressive that's an aggressive draft right there.
yeah,
But
no, that I've felt that, and that is at Indianapolis. It's a handful in its own. if you have
Indianapolis is that's a whole nother animal.
yeah,
You'll feel that one.
right. But no, I mean, it wasn't as aggressive as the trucks were, or how the Cup cars drive here, but it was still, you know, if you were within a certain radius of the car in front of you, then yeah, you would it would almost feel like you were at Daytona, to where it would suck you up to that back bumper a little bit quicker, but by the time you got to the bumper, next turn was coming. So, but yeah, I think it felt like about half a second back at least, and then it just got better the closer you were. So,
Sure, definitely.
but no, it. Oh, I mean, it had its ups and downs. With how the racing was and stuff. It is what it is, but I know that the leaders had a really fun battle for a lot of the race. At least going back and watching the broadcast. I mean, there was
that handful of probably four-ish drivers throughout the race, I think it was, that were consistently up there. It never seemed like one person could just step away the entire race or the entire segment and just walk away. There's always at least one other person in tow, if not more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and from what I saw in the broadcast, in the replays, it looked like just, you'd get two cars that kind of stretch it out a little bit, and then you've got, your next group of two that would, kind of be either battling like this or, just kind of keeping that, same distance as the leaders were, and then they just kind of, just kind of ride for a little bit. But it also too depended on, the launch of the restarts. So, I'm sure that's what caused this gap a little bit. Not to mention, third and fourth place were battling for position, and these two are just riding single file. So
right.
But yeah, it looked hella fun for them for sure.
Kind of the story of the two sides of the fence, I think, here. If you were up front, it seemed like everybody was kind of getting along for the most part and able to kind of run.
Yeah.
The back half, it seemed a little bit more slice and dice.
Yeah, and I think that was a lot of the issue is, with obviously we're running fixed setups, so you've got your really fast guys, and then you've got your mid pack guys, and those mid pack guys 9 times out of 10, or when they qualify, they're within a 100th of a second to each other versus the 10th separating them from like the front guys. And then you've got a couple stragglers that are just either slow or sandbag, the qualifying or whatever. But yeah, so I mean that mid pack group of 10 to 15 cars, whatever it was, they it's just a gaggle, you know what I mean? So you couldn't really, once it went to the top, you couldn't really pass. You couldn't really pass even on restarts, really, unless you got to the guys outside.
Right.
Because it was either the bottom, and I called it last week. It was the bottom on restarts, and then after a couple laps, you were migrating to the top. And if you, as you'll see with the, was that the 11 or 17, the one that just got punted to the infield there?
Yeah, 67 is what we're focused on.
67.
Yeah.
So,
but that is the throwback to, I think, the 17.
Yeah.
So, yep.
But no, if you tried to, unless you could time that slide job perfectly, if you tried to pass down low, once it went up to the top, I mean, if you didn't clear that dude and clear him quick, you were getting freight trained by, multiple cars. And so yeah, I mean, once it went to the top, it was kind of pretty much just ride. Felt like a lot of times it felt like, like a plate track where they get single file spread out, or not spread out, but spread out in single file a little bit, and you just kind of ride in a line. That's kind of what it felt like once it went to the top. But unfortunately, I never had the track position to get up towards that front and feel that clean air. So I feel like I would have been a lot faster, if I had that track position. Once it went to the top, but everybody, they never wanted to give up a spot, and I don't really blame them. It was a lot more difficult to pass than I think anybody anticipated. So, but then it kind of had that short track feel where the hurt feelings and the the aggression kind of amplified, frustration. I mean, you just, like I said, you could try and make a pass, and then, if, like I said, if you don't clear them quick, you're just going to get freight trained. So, it wasn't as great of racing as I thought it was going to be there. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, fair enough.
But Clark was, in a league of his own there. The 48. He was kind of tailing him throughout that run there. But he did actually pass him on track for the lead, and led a little bit of it, but it ultimately came back to Clark. So he definitely had the dominant car out of any of us.
Yeah, he definitely got up front and stayed up front all night. So it wasn't like he'd come out of nowhere on a strategy call or anything. He was legitimately up there pretty much from the start.
Yeah. So I mean, but it with tracks like this, it comes down to how you qualify. And it's going to be the same at like Martinsville and stuff like that. You're not going to really be able to pass. So it's going to be wherever you qualify. If you can keep that track position, it's golden. It's king. So. But he did a really good job of keeping that track position, even if it was just one or two spots lost. He had a fast enough car to where he could pass them back, and be aggressive early on. So yeah, the truck race, it was really good racing. The first half of the race, before the stage break, and then obviously the aggression amplified because second half of the race. I don't remember exactly how many green white checkers we had, but I know it was at least one.
We may have done two.
Yeah, I feel like it was two.
I think what it was, I'm trying to remember exactly. I'll have to go look at the lap notes, but I think what it was is we had a caution close enough to the end to trigger a green-white checkered before the end of regulation, and then we had another, because it was that first green-white checkered restart is where the race controversy lays.
Yeah.
But, I mean, look, this is the start of the race, and we already had restart problems. This race was plagued with restart problems from the start.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I don't even know what happened there, or remember what happened, really. I think it was people trying to time the start, maybe.
I think that was part of it, because I know when I went back and had to review some of this, is here we are going into turn 3 for the start of the race, and that is not a grouped up group.
Right.
So you've got here. If I go, let's see if we can go top down here. Try to see most of the field here.
Yeah,
like you've got this huge gap on the top, but even on the bottom, you've got pretty solid gapping between vehicles going into turn 3, which is just asking for trouble because here we are, we're going to get all grouped up.
Mm-hmm.
And if I go move backwards in the field here a little bit, like, okay, you've got gaps. The truck's probably pulled off at this point. So you've got guys halfway through the field accelerating. The lead hasn't gone yet, and now they're having to check up. So you've got the back half of the field not necessarily even anticipating the start, but they're having to catch up because you got drivers that are leaving probably too much of a gap into turn 3.
Yep.
That all started in turn 3, really.
Yep. And then, your typical looseness. I believe that was Hanrada, and that was a hell of a save.
I believe that was actually the 11. Hanrada does have a couple of those saves later in the race, though. I do remember that because I about shit myself following one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, him, the 11, a couple others. I don't remember names and trucks for everybody that had one of those saves, but through turn 2, that was where you wanted to have your highlight reel cameras focused because you had a lot of good looseness saves through that section.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it looked like the trucks were on edge.
I would say this is probably the best setup of the season, considering that they're all default.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think what it was Kansas for the trucks had a day and a night setup. And so obviously, you guys were using the night setup. But I believe the Xfinity cars only had a day setup. So, if they handled bad, that was probably why.
Gotcha.
But
there's one of Hanrada's saves.
Yep.
He had a lot of those on Thursday.
Yeah, that was a hell of a save for sure. But yeah, I didn't run in this race. Second race I haven't run in. But no, just being race control. I mean, just watching. It was definitely fun to watch. Because it. Like I said, if they weren't on edge, they were damn near, right at that barrier. So
overall driving, it was fun to drive because the truck wasn't a dump truck for really any of the run. I mean, you could get it tight, and it would. Obviously that's the reason why we had to transition to the top lane because that's what the trucks do. They get tight.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't uncontrollable where you're having to just back the corner way up. You're going to have to try to drag the brake to set the nose or something. I mean, it was a reasonable snug, but it was a controllable snug. And obviously on the early parts of the run and even on later parts of the run, if you wanted to, you could get the trucks loose. If you got the momentum correct, kind of like what the 25's doing here, you could make a dive or a play in the first half of the run to the bottom and potentially gain 1 or 2 spots depending on if you have a gap to slide up into or not.
Right. Yeah, and these trucks right here, these 6, they really seem to be the ones that were checked out most of the race. They were the fast ones.
Yeah, absolutely. They had the they had this setup in Kansas dialed in a lot better than the rest of the field for most of the night.
Yeah, and but no, it was definitely fun to watch for sure. Yeah,
I know even just some of the accidents. Just going back and watching some of the replays, just there's quite a few incidents where you either have somebody making a really good save or you have people that are just actually backing down and not plowing into the accident. So I liked seeing that there was a lot of that. Okay, well, we don't know where they're going to end up. Rather than just full send and hope for a gap, you got whole groups of guys that are actually coming to a slow enough pace that they could avoid potential calamity. I think we don't have a single caution until after the stage break.
Yeah.
I can't remember if this is one of those crazy saves, but I mean, first half of the race, honestly, it was great racing. It was a lot of pit strategy you had to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
Had to kind of adapt to what everybody else was doing, and also make sure you do the fuel calculation just right, because the way that the stage lined up, it was one of those you couldn't pit too early on that first stage if you're going to make it to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you'd be on fumes coming to pit road.
Right. Yeah, and I think there was one truck that found that one out the hard way.
Yeah, I believe Senzi ran out of fuel on the pace lap to get to pit road on the stage break.
Yeah,
as I recall. So, and I know there was others that were probably sputtering or on fumes, because I know it was a fairly tight window. I think only 2 or 3 laps of range that you had to play with on your pit stop, either to make it or not, because we didn't have any of the cautions to give us that chance to really, roll the dice and save a bit.
yeah, no, it's yeah, I was really impressed with. It seemed like everybody who ran last night, or not last night, sorry, the night before, in the BRP series, seemed like they kind of learned their lesson in that for this race, because there were quite a few cautions where, it was holding it to the floor, hoping that there's a hole that opens up or whatever, and it just added to it. I know that happened to me fairly early on, but and I know I'm pretty sure it was before the stage break. So, but it seemed like that they definitely learned their lesson a little bit, and I was impressed with it. It came down to that that other thing that we talked about last week, that awareness. So I was, like I said, I was pretty impressed with it.
Yeah, the situational awareness seemed better on Thursday than it did on Wednesday, I would say. So for the trucks, It was, for the most part, more aware. And I wonder, part of me wonders if it's just some of those early saves that we saw. People were kind of saw them and kind of anticipated that, okay, if something happens, I'm going to have to actually back out of it. I don't know if that contributed to it or if it was Wednesday or...
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, and I mean that would make sense, I mean it could have been any number of things really. The fact that the ones that were getting loose, were kind of by themselves after the fact, so but it also could have been the setup too.
True.
Because it seemed to handle a lot better than the Xfinity cars. So I mean it could be, like I said, any number of things, but I'm glad that we at least got a couple green flag pit stops in this race, at least one. But yeah, and then of course we can't start the Christmas break without some sort of controversy.
Yeah, let me cue that one up, because I know that one's going to take probably a minute to go through here.
Yeah.
You were in race control, so I'll let you go through it here first, and I can tell you kind of what I saw from driving standpoint.
Yeah, so right there, lane changes before you get to the line, and that was pretty much the top 10 for sure, and I think almost 3/4 of the field, and it just... I get how it happened. It came down to monkey see, monkey do. Oh,
very much so. I mean, it was... You could tell right from the start that it was monkey see, monkey do. And this is actually fairly close. Of course, I didn't load in my review profile here, but Here's approximately the view I had when we were going over this here on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Just basically sit at the start finish line, sitting on that line, and watch it live.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm counting, one, two, basically the entire top 10 going across, bottom lane ending up in the apron, and then the top
Mm-hmm.
lane following suit and coming down, which is incorrect.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I ended up giving a lot of people EOLs for that, and I was still pretty lenient on that because in the rules, we had decided that if you do that, you're going to be black flagged. But then I was like, well, all right, I mean,
What
pretty
helped
much the
them?
entire field did
Yeah,
it.
I think what helped them too on this was that we had that immediate caution after,
Yeah.
which in most cases defaults it to EOLs for us anyway, if
Hmm.
we're in the process of going through it. But I mean, even so, there was so many of them. We still had to go back and make adjustments afterwards, just to
Yeah.
keep the playing field fair.
Yeah. Yeah. And some people, it came down to wanting to break out a measuring tape you know, and which was it was pretty funny, because I don't know, but no, yeah, that was a pretty tough call, and it's like, come on, guys, y'all know better than that,
Yeah,
but
it's in the rules, and when
yeah,
we're doing these reviews, just for the clarity of it, we're not going into the review with the idea of calling or ruling stuff more strict than what we would do if we were in race control. So we're not sitting there. We don't have the time to measure everything out. We kind of, we play it back at a couple angles, watch it live, maybe watch it in, slow motion if we have to, and just say, okay, looking at this, is there intent to break the rule? Does the rule look like it was egregiously broken? Does it affect the outcome of the situation, etc., etc.?
mhm,
So that
yeah,
that was the large determining factor on what was and what was not a penalty on the review process, both in the race and post race review.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and it just came down to people nitpicking after, yeah, because of whether it was they were upset at my call or upset that they got caught. Um, it's always, well, this person did it too, so when they barely did it, you know what I mean? So
Right.
I don't know. It's I shut that down pretty quick, but yeah, I don't know. Eldora will be fun next week.
Oh yeah, to start 2021, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, yeah, and of course you got Monza, the BRP series.
Ah, that's right. Yep.
So, but I think I'm more so looking forward to um, Eldora. That'll probably be my last race of the season for either series. Um,
That's going to be a big wake up call, I think, for a lot of us.
yeah, yeah,
And unfortunately, I don't have the time to even do practice because I'm going to be limited seat time at my rig between the recording of this episode and the green flag at Eldora. So I don't know how that bodes for me, but I think it means
yeah.
I'm going to be at the back and just hoping I finish the darn thing in not last place. Because I
Yeah,
don't proclaim to be a dirt racer at all.
yeah, and honestly, when it comes to the trucks at Eldora, I mean, I can wheel some of the dirt cars around, but these things are a whole different breed. Um, from launching to, just sitting there in fourth gear, trying to get the high side to work because you're going to spin it out on the bottom. Um, Me and Senzi are going to kind of work together a little bit and try and build a little bit more of a stable setup,
Okay.
and just to help those non-dirt people, drivers, and so we're gonna try and make it as stable as possible, but still fun. Because ultimately that's what this race was put on the schedule for, was in the hopes that it would be fun. Um, so we'll see. Like I said, me and Senzi are gonna work hard at that. But yeah, it's probably gonna be one of our um, least attended races this season, I imagine. Um, just because it is Eldora. I still encourage all drivers to at least show up and make a couple laps. Otherwise, you're not going to get points. So,
I plan to show up and run for as long as the truck will let me. I don't promise the truck will make it to the end of the show, though.
Well, the nice thing is, at least with the wall, you can. One thing that we're going to do is take all tape off. So you don't have to worry about dirt getting clogged up, and and that front end can take a little bit more abuse. But yeah, that wall. I mean, the nice thing is you're not going fast enough to where you get that right front bad luck with engine temps. That
damage, overheat
yeah.
damage that we discovered last season in one of the rebuilds that they did.
Yeah. So you don't really have to worry about that unless you just completely clobber it. So I mean the speeds won't be down or won't be up. It'll probably be, I'd imagine top speed would probably be around 100, 110 maybe. So, and that's basically like getting into the corner before you let off. So, but yeah, like I said, it'll be fun. Hopefully, it'll be fun to build the setup for sure. So because I am transitioning to dirt, so it'll be a nice little refresher with building setups, for dirt. So, but yeah, and then Monza, it's gonna be like a plate track, realistically. You're
well, like a plate track with a 6-story drop on both ends.
No, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as the iRacing Speed
Right.
It's probably like a
4.5.
Yeah, something like that. But no, and I wish I wouldn't have retired from asphalt racing, because that was one track that I was really looking forward to. No, it.
I mean, even Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr. came out of retirement for a few races.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how I feel after the break. But no, that especially the first, going to turn one by yourself was sketchy alone. Once it's super wide on the straightaways and very, very narrow in the corners. But it's flat footing it all the way around, and I know that there were a few times where when I was doing the test there before I ultimately determined to put it on the schedule, you were almost dirt tracking it a little bit, you know what I mean, at super high speeds. So
oh boy,
definitely woke you up for sure. But no, I'm hoping that one will be pretty good. Like I said, it's going to be narrow, so a lot of those passes are probably going to be coming off of the corners. Who can get the run on the person in front of them. And they're really long straightaways too. I think they're pretty equivalent to the backstretch at Talladega, as far as lengthwise goes. So I feel like it's gonna be, maybe single file in the corners and fan out on the straightaways, kind of like a Pocono. where you don't really have a whole lot of side by side racing. It's at least in turn one. And it's who can get off the corner better, who can flat foot it all the way around better. I don't know how tire wear is there. I just did a few laps, but
Sure.
so I don't know if tire wear will be a thing or not and towards the end of the run if you're gonna have to let up at all. Yeah. But the nice thing is the wall. That was one thing I was a little worried about, was how narrow the wall was, or how short it was anyway.
Right.
But it comes out at enough of an angle, I guess, to where you don't really need to worry about going over the fence. But you do have
So
to worry about
fans
the
aren't going to
wood
be
to the wall.
walking away with a full-size replica raced version of their car.
No, but you can definitely go through the trees, I believe, so to the left
All
on the
right.
infield. But it's the details on that track are freaking awesome. Just the cracks in the track, and the corners and stuff. So I'm hoping that it'll be really fun, but like I said, it's to be determined if I will run in it. If I do, it'll probably be my very last race. At least the oval side, I may do some of the road courses, but yeah, the oval side I'm done with, I think, for now. At least until the racing gets better, So, I don't have time to, or the patience to be grumpy, I guess. In race, as well as you're trying to, admin and race at the same time, or be the bad guy, I guess. So, yeah, no, I've got to find that fun factor again, like I had last season. Which,
Well, I mean that's the key. I mean, it's this isn't a job. This isn't work. This is supposed to be a break from all that, and it's
yeah,
supposed to be enjoyable. It's not supposed to be a stress point every single week that you're in one of these lobbies.
right, yeah, and a lot of the times the racing has felt like, like official lobbies, whether it's via crashes or, somebody just, not giving a damn, and racing you hard lap after lap after lap when you were clearly faster than them. You know what I mean?
All right, so we're bringing in last week's BRP Series winner, Clark, here in the 81. Tell us about the race. How was it for you there at our first night race here at Kansas?
It was a blast, man. It's unique. It's one of the only tracks in iRacing where you do run the top, and that's preferred line. So that was a nice change for once. And the cars just look so much better under the lights, in my opinion. But for once, the setup was good. It wasn't that tight. It really played more to the driver's hands. You get a little loose on exit, especially on new tires. You were on ice for a lap and a half or two. But yeah, the race was fun, man. It was fun pulling slide jobs and learning how to save your right front compared to everybody else running that dirty air.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would agree. Look, the cars look amazing under the lights. As a painter myself, I love catering the cars to the night environment when I can. So I absolutely agree on that. And seeing you guys battle at the top, were you able to feel that air cushion that iRacing has been promoting here the last couple of weeks?
Kind of. I didn't really like to push it and get up that close to the wall unless the race was on the line, because it's a very fine line. If you step it, you smack the wall, and these cars are so aero dependent, it'll ruin your night real quick. But I was up there for a little bit towards the middle of the race, and you can feel it. I still don't think you feel it enough where it's the risk versus reward, you gain that much. But it's definitely there, and it might shave maybe a half a tenth off a lap, but gotta be careful. It'll burn up that right front.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and so how was the air? You know, dirty air versus clean air.
Night and day.
Yeah.
The clean air is amazing, man. The car handles so much better. The front end feels like it's in the racetrack, but when you're behind somebody, it just plows up the racetrack, and you're forced to make a move like that and slide up in front of somebody, dive it in deep, and that kills your right front even worse. It's tough, man, because especially for me when I started in the clean air,
Yeah.
My throttle points and how much throttle I could use was just completely different when I was behind cars versus when I was out front. The dirty air it's a pain, man. It really controls these races.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's I didn't have the opportunity to have clean air, so it was just plowing, and I did pull a few sliders on people, and I know there were some hurt feelings for that, but you know, it like you were saying, once it went to the top, it was a pain to pass, you know, and in mid pack, you know, you really risk trying to pass somebody low because as you can see right there, you know, there's just a line of cars and they're just waiting for somebody to do it so that way they can take advantage of it and close that hole. But
yeah, definitely.
yeah, so I mean, you know, it all came down to, you know, who could keep the clean air, who qualified best, you know, and could keep that clean air, and that's, if you lost it, you were probably spending a lot of time, you know, trying to get it back. So, but you know, props to you for, you know, having a really clean race. You know, you put on a hell of a show, and definitely had the dominating car. So, did you get the pole for that one?
Yeah, I did, and I was almost pissed about it because I didn't get lap 1 done very good, and on lap 2 I was a little bit easy in 3 and 4. I let up a little early, and I could have carried a little bit more speed. So for a second I thought I was going to be like 6th or 7th, and I put the time on it, 7:19. I was like, all right, that ain't too bad. I think that'll hold. And it did, man, and it made the start of the race, I mean, so much better because, you know, you start 5th, 6th, 7th, right in that big group. Everybody's trying to get everything on lap 1, and you put yourself in harm's way. And you know, I'm not trying to have a wrecked race car on lap 1. So being able to be out front and control the start and clear myself early, it definitely paid dividends for the end.
Yeah, absolutely, and it showed. You know, if you could get the jump on somebody, you know, you were able to hold onto that lead, and unless, you know, it was really early on into the run where, you know, somebody could really slide it in there, you know, throw it into the corner and slide up in front, you know, you could pretty much manage the pace, or control the pace anyway. But I know that the 48 passed you once or twice. How was that a little bit of give, or did you know, were you battling hard with him?
Nah, that's give, man.
Yeah.
After the stage, you know, I did the same thing with the 53 and the 6 because I was just trying to save my stuff, and it's tough to save your stuff when you're the leader because you got all these guys beating on your bumper and pushing your pace. So, you know, I kind of just let him go. Plus, I mean, it's a teammate leading laps. It ain't really going to affect me all that bad. But, you know, like I said, I'm really good on the long runs, and the 50% fuel kind of hinders that a little bit because, you know, the runs aren't quite as long. But, you know, I'm all for letting somebody go 10 laps into a run and blowing the doors off them 25 laps in. So,
right,
it was a ton of give all night. You know, I don't really take to the last 10 laps, and even then, I'm not trying to take anything but, you know, a lane for myself. I don't like to knock somebody out of the way, block anybody. You know, that's just not what I like to do. It's all give, man, unless we're fighting for a win or, you know, every point matters in that situation. But early on, no reason to fight these guys like that.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, you were talking about long runs. You know what my next question is going to be? How have you improved so much with that versus last season? Because you're out there, you're not just you're not just running up front, every other race or anything. I mean, you're up front every damn race, and even in both series, and it seems like if we can get a green flag run in, you're the one that's got the speed on the long run. How what's the secret to these tires? You know what I mean? Because
I'm trying
a
to
lot
think
of
of a way
us,
to answer this without giving y'all my secrets.
because I've got
Man.
my secrets, and I spilled the beans last week, and
Yeah.
it didn't. All my secrets failed.
It's honestly just having enough discipline to know not to push the car, and there's no reason to overheat, the right front on lap 1 or lap 2. So I find that limit in practice on, what is like a qualifying type pace versus what I want to run in the race. Take a couple tenths off my qualifying time, or I guess add them, and just pace myself. Don't let anybody pressure you from the back. Don't let anybody riding your bumper trying to force you to mistake. Don't worry about that. Hit your marks, run your pace. It'll pay off in the long run. So yeah, it frustrates me sometimes when I let one or two go and I see him pull about a second and a half, and I'm thinking, man, I ought to just get up on this wheel and go get him. But
Right.
it always pays off if it stays green. Keep my pace. About halfway through the run, it starts flipping, and you run them down in a hurry, because a lot of these guys are, and I won't take it away, they're fast, man, but they burn their shit up very quickly. And that's why I love those long runs. Come back, pass them right back.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I mean, everybody knows that I was one of those guys last season that you would just blow your doors off 10, 15 laps into a run, and I don't think that I've changed anything. I haven't figured out this tire model. It's been
Yeah,
a
it
big
was
adjustment.
around the time of that tire model change. I think for probably actually I think it may have been Kansas
Yeah.
in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Oh, don't bring that race up. I'm so mad that he got that on Fuel Shot. I dominated that thing, man. I don't want to talk about that. I throw away too many of these races. That didn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah. No. There was quite a few fuel mileage races last season.
Yeah, I got
And,
one of them in Kentucky.
Yeah, you did.
But normally they.
I don't know how you
they ruined me. Oh well,
because you guys checked out.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there saving, and then by the time I go, you guys are good. I'm like, what the hell?
Robert wanted to lead, man, and I wasn't
Yeah.
gonna tell him, let me by. I was using the draft. I was, 70% throttle on the straightaways.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, saving as much as I could, and I wasn't gonna, try and pass him or anything like that. And then I did pass him, and he went right back underneath me in 3 and 4. So I was like, shit, man, if you don't want to make it to the end, that's fine by me. So I didn't have enough to do a burnout, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
I made it pretty comfortably, and I was just pacing myself, man. I was saving my tires for the long run at first,
Mm-hmm.
and then it hit me. It was right at that fuel window, and I was like, I'm just gonna ride in line, use this draft, because the trucks punch such a big hole in the air.
Uh-huh.
You save so much fuel behind just one truck, let alone 2 or 3, and
Yeah,
lap
absolutely.
traffic, latch onto them for a couple laps. It just worked out beautifully, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it whatever you're doing, it's working. You've definitely got this tire model and these cars figured out.
Love the cars, man. Love the horsepower.
9 times out of 10, unless you're stuck in mid pack, these setups feel pretty good on their own, and clean air, but yeah. So I mean, the racing will get better one way or another. I do
Definitely.
promise you that.
It took a pretty big step from Atlanta to Kansas. I think,
Yeah.
you finally cracked down on him, and it definitely felt like a much cleaner race. It was nice to go green for once, man.
Yeah.
Because Phoenix, I was not happy about that one, especially when I had a 0x, and Got
Yeah.
door slammed 3 times in the last 5 laps. That one pissed me off. But
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I was out front, I didn't have to deal with it all day, or if it was just I think everybody finally realized we better get our shit together before we get the boot.
Mm-hmm.
But it felt better. It was more fun, and I think it carried over to the truck race too. That was pretty enjoyable too, even though all 10 of us restart violations there.
Yeah. I definitely cracked down the whip on that one.
I couldn't.
But,
Oh man, monkey see, monkey do.
That's
yeah.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
They dropped below the apron, and I decided to be an idiot and follow him. I mean, I had already had a damaged truck because I don't remember who it was. Somebody door slammed the hell out of me on the front stretch, and that's just another race that got away from you, man. But
Yeah.
that's on me. That's on all of us for we know the rules, man, and we made that mistake, so we
Yeah.
all got to live with it.
Yeah, and that was a tough call to make, because like, if I would have followed the rule book on that one, like everybody that got an EOL would have actually gotten a black flag, and it just there would have been like 4 cars racing for the win.
Yeah, you probably would have
Right.
wrecked the field with everybody trying to get to pit road too.
Right. So, I mean, I adjusted that rule on the fly just slightly, just because of that issue,
Mhm.
But yeah, no, it's hopefully it showed everybody that I'm done giving warnings. I've said it for the past couple weeks now. I'm done giving warnings. It's you guys know better now. So, but no, I mean, I knew when that happened, and if Corey wouldn't have said anything, I think I probably would have let it slide, honestly, just because so many people did it. But as soon as I saw it and watched it happen, I'm like, yep, that they're going because that guy went down there.
Uh-huh.
They're
And
following.
it really only was that one restart. Like there was
Yeah,
a couple earlier in the race that was like a one-off, and they were addressed as needed. But it was just that one restart, and I think it was because it was a green-white checkered, and there was two laps to go. Everybody's just like, I got to get everything I can get up front. So you get somebody that goes down there, and everybody else is, well, I'm just going to follow the bumper in front of me and not keep it pay attention to where I am at on the track. And like I ended up saying, it's like I think because I flubbed the restart and wasn't tucked up behind somebody is the only reason I didn't go down there, because I could I saw everybody shift down, and I'm like, oh. Well, there's a line there. I guess I'm not going to go all the way down there.
Yeah, it didn't help that there was a bunch of different tire strategies. So, like, the reason I did it is because I knew the guy below me and in front of me were on older tires. So, if I could pinch him and get into 1 and 2 side by side with him, I could beat him on exit. I'm yelling at Corey too. Say restart violation. We get into turn 1 and 2, and I go, "Oh shit, I did it too." we all came to the conclusion that we all did it, and we were like, "Well, bed's made now. Nothing we can do."
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I caught a lot of heat from that, from a lot of people. But
well, because it's gonna be heat of the moment. People are gonna be pissed, and then they go back and they watch it and they realize we're the idiots that did it. So nothing you can really do.
Yeah,
I was pissed. I was like, no fucking way. And then again, thought about 1 and 2 and was up. Yeah, I did it.
Yeah, but no, I that's ultimately what resulted in me just turning off Discord on my phone. I'm like, I'm done. Like, I'm done.
Funny, though.
I should show you some of the messages. There's that guy that wanted me to break out a freaking tape measure, and I'm like, no, you're ridiculous.
Oh man,
that would make the review process in the race as race control and require us to add 5 laps of caution to every caution just to look at stuff.
Absolutely. And like I told a few people, it's on the fly. We've got rules, but a lot of times it's judgment calls. You know what I mean? And that's ultimately what it is. Same thing with real life. They're judgment calls. Some of them are poorer than others, but I mean that's ultimately what it is. And then we've got that post race review, as we're both able to sit down, watch it, and okay, yeah, this dude, we missed him, but he messed up too. So we're gonna deal with that according. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I think all in all, as amusing as it was, that it was handled the way it needed to. I had people messaging me and saying, well, maybe we should look into the rule and have it to where the leader kind of the leader of each row kind of controls where everybody goes. And I'm like, no, you're responsible for your own truck. You know the rule.
Yeah, I don't anticipate us breaking the record for that many restart violations in one lap anytime soon.
I think everybody learned that one.
Oh man, I couldn't believe it. Going back and watching the replay, I mean, I knew I did it, but then I looked behind me. I didn't know they did it 3-4 rows back too. That caught me off guard. Man.
I was not kidding when I came over the radio and said top 10 for sure.
Oh yeah, I went from from 4th back to like 18th and ended up finishing 5th because everybody else got EOLs too.
Yeah. And I mean, there were so many trucks. That's why it took me so damn long to, I had to review each car or each truck, and most of them I could get in one shot, but there were a few. It's like, all right, that's a little questionable. All right, I better watch this whole restart for him, and so on and so forth. And then obviously giving each individual person an EOL. That's what took so long. And I almost had to delay the green.
Yeah, I remember seeing all the let this car by, let this car by, let this car by, and then it was telling me to pass the guys who were in front of me that got him.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh man, it was
a mess.
I can't believe we did it.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes two of us. But no, it was
Robert a free one.
Huh?
Gave Robert a free win. He didn't have to fight nobody for it.
Oh, he had to fight for that one still, but it definitely made it a lot easier when you've got 10 fewer trucks up there.
Yeah, and it's funny because he was one of the ones that was talking about the whole blocking thing, and somebody, I think it may have been you, Clark. Somebody said, "All right, boys, have at it," by my response, and they took it literal. I mean, he was definitely not clear, and I'm watching that, and I'm like, dude, what did you do? I mean, it wasn't like, not clear by inches. I mean, it was at least a foot, and but yeah, no, I think that's what saved him, honestly, and got him to win.
Oh yeah, when he came down pit road, I saw it on the track map. I was thinking, oh, his night's over. He's out of the top 15. And then at the end of it, I couldn't believe it, man. I was so mad at myself.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, like I said, it was amusing. But hopefully everybody learned their lesson, so we'll see. Only time will tell. I understand, slip-ups happen, but, Yeah,
slip-ups happen, and in the moment, you're just trying to get the best restart you can and follow the guy in front of you. So I see how it happened easily, but
oh yeah, and I get it. It's you see one guy going down there. Oh, he ain't gonna get an advantage on me. I'm going down there too. So I get it, and but yeah, I think that was the only fair thing to do. Honestly, I can safely say that was a first for me. that was a lot of cars. But with that being said, I think that pretty much wraps it up. You had a fun race, or races, for sure.
Definitely, man. It felt good to finally get one. I was tired of winning the stages and finding a way to throw away the race. Whether it was, a bad timed caution like Atlanta when I was out front and the caution came out and put you and Robert in front of the whole field.
Yeah.
And then I went in the next day, the truck race in Atlanta, first green flag pit stop, hit the damn cone, put myself a lap down, and just couldn't get a caution to get my lap back. It's frustrating, man. I'm tired of winning these damn stages and not the races. So to finally get one, it felt great. But then I threw it away the next night anyway. So I'm looking for truck win number 2. That's next on the to-do list.
But you are the only one to have a win in both series this season.
Yep.
So you can put at least that feather in your cap.
Yeah, it should be more, though. I should have multiple both series. I think that's just the competitive nature in me, man. I know I should have more, so I'm definitely not satisfied. I keep losing them. I got to steal one. Maybe I'll steal one at Monza.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I had to step away. You know, I'm that exact same way. You know, I know I can do better than this, and you know, I know I should, if not have a win by now, be running up front more consistently, and I haven't been. And you know, and you know, that's why I'm taking a break, or one of the reasons. And you know, so hopefully when I come back, I'll give you a run for your money for a few races.
Yeah, I still owe you one for Talladega though, so don't
he had to get that one in there.
I did, but
so did Robert last week. You know?
Oh, I'm glad he brought it up too. You should feel bad about that. We had that thing won, man. 1, 2, 3. We were like what, 14, 15 seconds ahead of the field.
All right, I'm gonna sound like a broken record to the audience here. I'm gonna tell you the same damn thing I told Robert last week.
Man.
Do I just need to go back to last week, cut that clip, and drop it in real quick?
Maybe.
You might as well.
We were out so far ahead. All right. And we were polling a lot. For the broadcast aspect of it, that was boring as hell to watch. I needed to make it exciting. All right.
Hey, whatever you want to use to justify it. All I'm saying is you had an easy 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Oh man, that reminded me of Phoenix on those restarts, beating the hell out of my bumper, man. God damn. I just kept getting 0x, 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 0x. Like, what the hell is he doing? I'm not even close to the restart zone.
I was just ready, man. Letting you know. I was trying to let you know that. All right, I'm gonna push you, and I'm gonna push you out front.
I was having
without actually saying anything.
I'm gonna push you whether you're ready or not.
The wall.
Yeah. And not to mention, I was having a better run than I did the night before, and I was up towards the front at that point. So my aggressive side was coming out slightly, even before we took green.
I wanted to repay that favor when we were at Atlanta, but the tire spin was so bad. I was afraid if I gave you a shot, we were both going around, so I didn't do it.
Did you see my last restart?
I was too busy saving my own, man. I had the wheel like 90 degrees to the right, 90 degrees to the left. Oh man, it was fun.
It was.
It didn't look good.
No, I don't know how on that last restart I held second. When I freaking launched, I was on the outside, you know, and starting right next to Hanrada, and I had him in my ear counting down when he was going to go. And I had to actually talk him into it because he was worried I was going to take him out, you know, lose it and take him out. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to. I said, if I lose it, I'm turning right. And yeah, he was counting down, and I timed it out great. And I launched, and my tires just broke traction instantly. And I didn't even like full blown gun it, you know. And then all of a sudden I was facing that wall slightly, and I'm like, oh nope. And I stayed in it, and I fought it, and I got it straightened out again. And I don't know what happened to the 41 on his restart, but I was able to clear him after the line, and yeah, and then, you know, obviously he threw that big block. I think it was on you, and then
it was.
I saw that in my mirror.
I got blocked a lot in that race towards the end, man, and
yeah.
I got tired of lifting. I'm gonna be honest here.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't wreck him intentionally. I also didn't even think we were touching when he went around. But I mean, lap after lap, going down to the apron through the tri-oval. The broadcaster even said it. Like I had enough, man, and it was already a frustrating race because I felt I should have won it, and I found myself back in traffic. The week before, I felt I should have won there and got door slammed and just ran out of the way. And I think it was finally going into 3 and 4 in the last lap. I said, dude, I'm putting this pedal down and I'm not coming off of it. If somebody's in my way, they're either getting shoved to the line or going around. And he just happened. We just kind of met. I stayed on the seam, and he's got to exit the corner. I guess the bumpers just kind of hooked into each other, and he went flying. But I had enough, man. I mean, it had to come to an end eventually.
Yeah. And as far as I'm concerned, I mean, you didn't do anything wrong. I mean, neither one of you really did. At least coming to the line, I mean, it's racing for position.
Yeah, I don't hold no ill will towards him. I'm not mad at him. It was just for that specific race, I wasn't having it. It had been enough too many times.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. So, but hopefully, we got a week coming up of unknowns for both series, but should be slowly getting back into the norm. After that, but we'll see how it goes. Hopefully the aggression dies down with a few of my announcements.
Oh, and, hopefully, man.
Hopefully.
It was a struggle, man. I was tired of getting pinched lap 1, turn 1. It's just takes the fun out of it.
Yep. Sure does. I guess we should probably do picks now, huh?
Yeah, I guess about that time, considering we're not going to get an episode out before the next race week, other than this one.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't even remember who I picked for the BRP series last season. Jeez Louise.
I think you do need that break.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to say you got that one right. I'd have to go back and pull it up, but I really want to say I think you got Clark correct.
Oh, you know what? I think I got them both right.
I think you're right, because you did definitely say, you know what, I got to go with Henrada.
Uh-huh.
And, yeah, so I think you cleaned house. You swept the floor.
Yeah. Let's see, we're doing Monza next week, or next race,
yes.
rather.
Yep.
Man, there's so many unknowns in that race.
Well, that's the thing. We've got really nothing to go off for either of those races, in all honesty.
Yeah, I mean,
we haven't run dirt. We have not run Monza. And there's nothing that's anything remotely like either of those tracks that we've run in the past.
Right. Well, there could be. I mean, because Monza's it's basically gonna be a super speedway, but it's gonna come down to if tire wear is a factor.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you've got your plate track guys that are, pretty good. If they can stay out of trouble, they're usually up towards the front. So, you know what? I think I might choose the 53 for the BRP series. He won it, what was it, Daytona?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to pick Samuel for that. The dirt. Oh, man. I'm going to have to say probably Senzi. I'm going to pick Senzi for that one.
He's probably got one of the better seat times on dirt that I'm aware of anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's going to help that, we're going to be making a setup too, so.
Yeah. A little bit of an unfair advantage there.
Yeah, a little bit. But I know that he'll have seat time for that, so. But, yeah, and I haven't decided how we're going to do it yet, whether it's going to be heat races and then a main, or if it's just going to be a straight-up race. I think we're going to do some heat races and then a main. I think is how we're going to do it.
Sure.
We'll do a qualifying, and that'll kind of line everybody up. And then, for the heat races, we might do 5 cars each heat, and evens in one heat and odds in the other. And then we're not going to do a consolation race. Everybody will make it, as long as we have no more than 32 trucks. So,
well, considering that we're capped at 32, I think we're good.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so I think that's probably the route we're gonna do. I'm just gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna set it up. That is going to be the one and only race where I think we will have a 0% start for practice. The track change or the state.
Yep.
As well as for the race. Just because on dirt that track changes very fast, and once it rubbers up and loses grip, it's
and the argument can be made that it's going to be a dirt track's going to be prepped before a big event.
right.
So
Right, and not only that, and I'm solely doing it in the hopes that it adds better racing early on and the option to learn early on.
right.
Because if you're just hanging on for dear life starting out, you're not going to learn anything. You're either going to lose it and wreck, or you're just going to be holding on the entire time.
Right.
or going slower than what you should be, and causing a wreck that way. So I'm hoping that early on it'll allow people to learn. Same with the practice, so you'll know that you're going to have the same track state from the start of practice, and it's not going to change from the start of the race. So so long as you get in there early enough, you'll be able to tell how the track is going to start out, how much grip, roughly how soon it'll lose grip, and where. I would strongly encourage those that are able to turn graphics up as high as you can for at least for the track, because that's going to be the only way you're going to be able to tell where the track is changing, where the slick spots are, where they're being created, and it's going to be either where the majority of the field's running, or the dark brown marbles that gather up top, the dirt clumps. So I'll work with people, if they come and ask me for it, the help, with how to run dirt, what I know anyways, so so I think it is
Just that way everybody can observe here.
Yeah, and I don't remember what the
I want to say it's
event.
I think it's event and particles is what you want.
Yeah, something like that.
Render dynamic track data as well.
Yeah. What one is that you're highlighting? I lost your mouse.
Render dynamic tracks data.
Yeah.
Then your particles to high and your event to high.
Yeah.
I believe those are the ones you need to target for this, just to be able to see the details on the track change.
Yeah, because that's gonna be a key thing. If you want to stay competitive, because if you can't see that and it takes you a few laps to figure out, okay, well, it's slick here now, just by feel, it's gonna lose you that race. You know what I mean? So, or that track position. So, yeah, I would definitely recommend doing that, getting as much seat time as you can, even if it's just the default setup, obviously we're gonna try and get one that's a little more stable. But even just track time, you know what I mean? I strongly encourage that. So, but anyways, with that being said, let's go with your picks now.
All right, my picks. I'm gonna go. Smallwood, I think, for the BRP series. He did well at Daytona. He's done well at the plate tracks for the trucks in the past, so I think he's got the concept down if it runs like a plate track. I think the corners might be interesting, but I think he can drive.
Right.
And for the trucks, might pick you if you're running, since you're doing the other half of that setup, and you have been spending time on dirt here over the last month or so.
Yeah.
So I don't know anybody else in the series that does run dirt consistently. I'm pretty sure there's some, but I got to go with what I know, I suppose. And having the heads up on the setup probably doesn't hurt either.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but yeah, my first goal is to provide a decent setup, something that is going to promote good racing, I guess.
Something that's manageable.
So, yeah. Because like I said, these trucks alone are a handful. So, and it may end up being something as little as tweaking the engine power. So I don't know how we'll do it. We'll definitely when we know, the rest of the league will know. So, but yeah, so.
Yeah, I think
I'm most likely going to run that one though.
Yeah.
Even if it's just that one.
Well, then I guess just to be sure, I should probably get myself a backup pick if you decide to back out last minute here.
Yeah, that would probably be wise. You never know.
Yeah. Trying to think, has Henrada run a whole lot of dirt?
Not that I'm aware of. I believe he's like a little bit, but not a lot. I believe he's either a D or a C class for dirt.
Damn, it just feels like throwing a damn dart.
Yeah. Throwing shit out a wall and hoping it sticks.
Yeah.
But no, Henrada I don't think would be a bad pick, honestly. He's a quick learner.
That he is. And he's good with short runs, too.
Yeah.
And that's going to be key, especially if we're doing heats.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'll stick to Henrada. How about that? I'll stay in the same team house.
Yeah. But other than that, I think we've pretty much covered everything.
Yeah, I believe so. I think we've covered all the happenings here from the last week. But yeah, everybody have a good holiday break, and we'll be back for racing in that first week of January. The 6th and the 7th, I believe, is the Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, I believe so. Sounds about right. Something like that.
Yeah. 6th or 7th, or approximately. Whenever the Wednesday and the Thursday is of that week, that's when we're racing. Be there, be square, ready to race and get dirty, I guess.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Cool. Well, I think that'll do it for us here in 2020. Moving on to 2021 and hopefully improvements with everything. But,
and not the end of the world.
Well, if it is, let's just throw a big party.
Yeah, right? Well, I'm going to be doing that anyway, so quite a few of them. But all right, guys. Well, we'll see you next time.
Yep. This has been the ASMR Podcast,
That's 2
Pitcast,
weeks in a
whatever
row.
the hell this is.
2 weeks in a row.
Hey.
I'm gonna go for 3 now.
You're going to go for 3, except the thing is I edited that out last week. I'm not editing this one out. Because I didn't quite get it wrong. I just stumbled over Podcast, Pit Pass, and tried to throw them all together. Because
Yep.
it's a Podcast, Pit Pass, ASMR. It's a thing. Yeah. All right, everybody. Have a good one.
See ya.